team.
Hey there, this is Malorian, and this is the Orc Tactical Team. And today's question comes from Luke Davis, and he's wondering, Malorian, can you talk about the giant cave squig type character? What should it be used for? Is it just for fun? Can it actually be competitive? And that's what's really all going to be about, is a giant cave squig. Now, you can't really talk about the giant cave squig without talking about the gigantic spider, because really those two things are going to be competing whenever you're looking at this. You could say separately that, well, hey, maybe I got these squig hoppers, and I might want to put in a gigantic or a giant cave squig, because then you let them re-roll their distance for their bouncing. However, if you're doing that, you're probably just doing this for a crazy fun theme anyway, because the squig hoppers are really bad. We're not talking back in 7th edition where they're like, oh my god, squig hoppers, I kill them, they're gonna kill me, no, they're bad. So you're not going to be taking them as a leader of a unit. You can even say for some people too, like, well, maybe I'll take some squig hoppers to get some wounds in there so that I'm not just soaking up all the wounds. Well, it really doesn't work out all that well, because you're spending so many points on this stuff here, and even though you're not going to be taking any panic tests if they die, it's just a lot of points on stuff that's doing nothing, when really what it comes down to, if you're going to be taking something like this, it's going to be something where, all right, I want to take something that's going to be an interesting unit, that's a throwaway unit, but also has a lot of functions to it. Now, like I said, these functions then are going to vary between whether you're looking at the cave squig or the gigantic spider. Now, you could just take things like some wolves or spider riders or something like that, but there's already a few little negatives you have with going with them. First of all, you could say that, well, with these guys here, they're not very strong, right? They can get shot at, they don't have really good armor, and they just kind of die. Okay. As well, these things will suffer from panic. So they're easy to kill. A few little arrows kills a couple of guys, they run away. All of a sudden, if you're going with a single character, I keep on looking down because I just put together my my forge-rolled one, so it's good timing for this topic here. But at the same time, these guys don't care, right? If you want to shoot a few arrows at these guys, whether it's a gigantic spider or the cave squig, well, whatever. I have higher toughness, I have really good armor save, and then past that, I have multiple wounds, and I'm not going to panic because I'm a single model. Either I'll be dead or alive. And some little arrows really don't threaten my life. You could also say that there's a difference here, or advantage to these guys, by being able to place them during characters as opposed to the fast cav. First of all, this is at the very end, so after you've been doing the back and forth for the deployment battle, it's like, okay, well, guess what? This guy's over here on this flank, and you have nothing to stop him bouncing his way or speeding up his way. +2, it's going to reduce your number of drops. So if you want to try and get that +1 to going first, you might want to be doing so that your throwaway units are coming from characters so that you have less drops to go down. So those are some of the reasons why you might start heading towards going to these characters that are kind of like this. Now, one thing that you have to automatically say too is that if you are taking something like the very cool gigantic spider or the giant cave squig, especially the forge-rolled one, like it's pretty damn awesome. If you're going with that, you're also looking at a thing where, first of all, your opponent might be giving you better army comp or giving you better even painting scores, just because this type of unit isn't normally seen. And so these type of units, they're like, wow, you took this? Oh, that's really cool. All of a sudden, that score might go up a little bit higher. As well, they have a dark horse aspect. There's a lot of people, they're like, oh, a giant cave squig? They have no idea. Like, is this thing really good? Is it really bad? Oh, same thing with the gigantic spider. Okay, I have no idea if I should be scared of this or laugh at it. And that really comes down to another part where it's not even just a dark horse where they don't know about it. This thing's a character. It could be a hero. It could be a lord. Who knows how much gear you actually put on it. If you went to make him a lord, give him, the Sword of Bloodshed. He has +3 attacks, and he has the Potion of Strength. This guy could come out like blowing out of nowhere and like, Badoosh, your monster's dead. It's like, holy crap. So, that risk or that possibility is there. However, looking at it, I think in both cases, you're probably going to take this guy as the cheaper option. Now, let's again try and compare the two. Both of them can be very cheap, but the one thing that you really have to look from the spider side is, first of all, you're paying some extra points because the goblin is going to be extra 5 points, where this is a night goblin. Okay. The nice thing about him is that he gets an extra armor saves because being mounted on a gigantic spider gives you a bonus of 2 to your armor, whereas the cave squig gives you a bonus of 1. So your armor is going to be a little bit worse. What this guy gives you, which the other guy can't, is the randomness. Now, randomness is usually seen as pretty bad. But in this case here, it can actually be very good because I don't need to be facing you to charge you. I'm going to be bouncing wherever I want to go. So if you have it so that on one flank, man, he has a lot of his fast cav over there. He's going to get behind my lines, get to my war machines, threaten my bunker. Well, you put this guy over there. And whereas the gigantic spider could go, okay, I'm going to come and fight you. Well, they might get around the gigantic spider, and then he's screwed. This guy, yeah, go wherever you want. Boing, boing, I'll get you. Boing, boing, I'll get you there too. It's very good to have. If you really do get to a thing where, he bounces all the way across the table, gets behind the lines, you can get a thing where you charge one of their units, they flee, and then this guy does his random little bouncing into them, and they're just destroyed. Because you don't flee from that. If he gets to you while you're fleeing, you're just dead. So that's something too. It's really corner case. I've actually had it never come up, but yeah, it's something to keep in mind. Now, with that randomness, you also have to keep in that another part where random is normally bad, where for this guy it's better, is that you get to re-roll your distance. So this can be going either way, right? You might want to take him and say, I just want to bomb down the field and get to these guys. Oh, I didn't get there? Okay, I'll try again. Another one could be where, okay, I'm kind of like trying to balance this because you have to move. There's no option not to move. So, okay, I'm just going to be kind of moving over here. Oh, man, I moved too close. Now he's going to be able to charge me. Okay, let's re-roll this. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now it'll be harder, a longer charge for him. So that's another way you could look at that randomness being nice. Now, let's start looking into some builds. Now, the whole one where like, okay, Sword of Bloodshed, Potion of Strength, crazy things like that, you're not going to see that on this guy because of the randomness. If you're going to be throwing in all those points, that's going to be on the gigantic spider where you have more assurances of what he's going to be able to do and how fast he's going to go. This guy here, first of all, you probably really want to go with the hero version. Not only is it cheaper, but you get the most bonus from the cave squig. Because the way it works with the monstrous cav here is that the toughness and the wounds transfer over. Now, that 3 wounds going to a lord does nothing. To a hero, it's just a free wound. So it's really nice to have. Past that, you don't really have to add that very much to make him do what he needs to do. You probably want to add his light armor because, hey, why not? And then you probably want to go with Enchanted Shield. It's only 3 more points than a regular shield on him, and then all of a sudden that's going to bring him up to a 3+. Now, that's not to the 2+ potential of the gigantic spider, but if you really think of it, if you're taking this guy and his main targets are going to be fast cav and stuff like that, that would be just fine. Plus, you might have it sometimes, too, that he's jumping up a flank, and all of a sudden you have a big fight here in the middle. Okay, boing, boing, he comes over to support you. And on a flank, having that toughness 4, having the 3 wounds, 3+ save, he'll be just fine there. He's also giving you a stomp, and he also has hatred. That's another thing to keep in, well, not hatred, fear. That's another thing to keep in mind, too, that while he's fighting these little fast cap things and these little support units on the flank, they're going to be outside of the leadership bubble, and so that fear can have a lot bigger of an effect. And all of a sudden, they're hitting him on 5s, might be wounding him on 5s. He can actually do a lot of work. But how many points is that, right? If you take this Night Goblin hero, and he's on a cave squig, and he has light armor, and a spear, because, hey, +1 strength is nice, and then he also has an enchanted shield. It's only 89 points. And at 89 points, that's really in that throwaway area. Now, of course, there are the cheaper options out there. You could be going with your wools that are only 50 points if they're completely naked. You know, probably you're looking normally at 55 or 60. But with this investment, you're getting a lot more there, right? This is a guy where, like we said, a little bit of shooting is not going to take this guy out. You really have to dedicate something to this guy. And then it really also brings in that whole question factor to your opponent. It's that dark horse. They don't really see these things. They don't know what they do. It's also the idea that, like we talked about, where it's a character. Who knows if it's the 89-point little cheap guy that's going to bounce around and kill fast cav, or is this guy the guy that's, like 200 something points, and he's coming in there, he's going to smash stuff and kill your characters. You have no idea. So it really is an interesting option. In the future here, I'm looking at maybe running one on either flank. I mean, right there, like I said, it's not very many points, and these guys can just bounce around, kill that stuff, get to war machines, threaten the bunker, support in the middle whenever you're needed, and do a pretty good job at it too. If you try comparing it to another type of thing, a comparison there is maybe to the unit of 5 cav that might be coming on from the flank there. Well, he's going to be having 3 strength 5 attacks, and then also another 3 strength 5 attacks coming from the mount. If you're thinking of the cav, maybe take a few losses on the way in, this guy here pumping out 6 strength 5 attacks. It's pretty good. You also get the stomp in there. It's a good amount of output from this little model here. So there you go. That's really it for you, Luke Davis. It's a model where you can have a lot of fun with. I've seen some people go for almost making a unit of them. They'll take 4 or 3 of them, put them together, give them different outputs, and jumping around like they're like the Super Monsters Cav. Don't do that. That's okay. You can, but it's just more for fun. It's more like putting these guys with the squig hoppers. I would take them by themselves, keep them cheap, keep them effective, and have some fun with them because they're awesome models. So there you go. Hope you like watching, and we'll catch you later. Bye.